Hello my friends and welcome to the show. This video is going to focus very heavily on bareMinerals. This is a brand that I love so much. When you really start looking at everything they make, I feel like I've got so many favorites, so many products that are really, truly very good. And I thought I'd do a full face today and really let you know which products are some of my top favorites, just show you a little bit more about how they work in a full face. So I hope you enjoy, and if you're a fan of this brand as well, I love learning about new product recommendations from you all, so share those in the comments section if there are some things that maybe don't get mentioned or things you hear me talk about and you're like, I second that. You can share that down below. I'm gonna get started now. I've already moisturized and everything, and I'm gonna use the bareMinerals Primetime BB Primer. This has an SPF 30 in it, and I wear the shade medium. This is a product that, you know, it could really work nicely under a number of different things you might apply, but usually I think to use it before I put on bareMinerals. So it's kind of a thin, lightweight product, but as you can see, it's definitely tinted, and it has like a really nice, smooth feel across the skin, like lightweight, silky feel. So I'm taking that and I am just blending this in all over the face, and you might notice that my complexion appears a bit more even once this all gets blended out. So love that. I feel like it does some helpful things for the look of the pores too, but it's just super duper thin, a more liquidy take on like the Benefit Hydrating for sure. Hydrating Professional, one that I've talked about recently. So then next, the direction I want to go with this look, I want to use my actual bareMinerals Original Powder Foundation. But before I get to that, I will say, you guys know I love the Complexion Rescue Stick. I think this is amazing. I mean, the Complexion Rescue in itself, that tinted moisturizer, ain't bad, but this stick just has really impressed me. I wear it in the shade Cashew 3.5. Fun fact, I've got some Aldi cashews in the background here. There's a few left in that bag. I didn't quite finish the whole bag. It's actually really good added to your pineapple fried rice. But this is such a smooth, kind of cooling, really nice medium coverage, kind of everyday foundation stick. I love this. I just feel like I've shown myself using this more in videos, and I'll probably just link below if you want to see that application happening. Today I was thinking, you know, it's been a long time since I've used bareMinerals powder in a video, so let's do that. But something I will do first that really enhances the perfected look of the whole face is using the Bare Skin Concealer. This is a really sneaky little product because it does not really look like makeup on the skin, but it conceals pretty well. It's maybe not like Shape Tape level coverage, but it's doing a lot more than you might expect. I wear it in the shade Light. It says Complete Coverage Serum Concealer. So if I'm using that powder foundation, I will go ahead and use the liquid concealer first, and I'm going to dab this around the darkness in the inner corner of the eye. I'll hit this area where I have some melasma. I'll go around the nose with it. And let's do chin, and let's kind of brighten right through here. So I use that fairly liberally, but it is not a thick product at all. Seriously, one of the thinner doe foot applicator concealers that you're gonna try. And you'll notice I'm saving the blending of the under eye area for last. I want that to continue to sit there. As it sits, it kind of starts just the slightest bit of dry down, and then you feel like you're achieving even better coverage out of it, okay? So we'll take care of these areas that are kind of, you know, not quite as important to me concealer wise, and then we'll go in here and we'll kind of blot around this under eye area. The tone on this is like, I can't even explain how perfect this tone is for me. It's not too light, but it's not dingy looking either. You know, it really is just able to conceal those dark areas with so much ease. So again, I kind of blot in here, let that product blot around and move around on the skin just a bit more. And I'm not doing a real major buffing action, but maybe just little mini buffing motions and tiny blots just to help that work into the skin. And I just feel like it looks so good. You can get up close on this stuff and not feel like it's looking makeup-y. I've sung the praises of this concealer before, but it has been a little while, and it just, every time I use it, I'm just really shocked at how good of a job it can do. I mean, could the skin maybe stop there? Maybe it could. But we are gonna take the bareMinerals powder powder foundation. And another thing that I like, we've got a pressed, we've got a loose. The loose, the original loose, many people really like this because it does give that slightest hint of luminosity to the skin when you put it on. That's something I really like about original bareMinerals. But they do have the Bare Pro pressed foundation here. I wear that in Silk 14, and this works really nicely also. I will use either of these with my big jumbo powder brush here. This is my BK Beauty 105. If you've got a light look happening, maybe just some tinted moisturizer, maybe just a little concealer, and you want to top it off for a great powder foundation look, this is an awesome one, and this is the perfect brush to do it with. You blot in there, and then you buff it in, and you cover so much surface area with this. Everything gets done so quickly and with so much ease. So that's a definite recommendation there. But like I said, there's this little X factor that the bareMinerals original foundation has that makes it so, so good. I wear this in medium beige. You got your little sifter cap. I've got a little left over there from the last time, so I don't need to unlock it again. But you're gonna tap a small amount in here. I pick it up on my brush. I know bareMinerals has some good brushes as well, but we're gonna use this one, and I'm going to kind of take on one part of my face at a time, and I sort of blot this over and then work it in. And I feel like I get this nice additional coverage all over the face. I did a video where I said, I think I called it getting full coverage with bareMinerals. And it was, you know, the combination of bareMinerals products. And I think a lot of people don't think you can get as much coverage out of bareMinerals as you really can get. But I love this brush because it just makes it such easy, quick work. Even, very ever so gently luminous. And now we're gonna tap out a little more product. I'm gonna really get my brush in there, get it all covered with the product, and then we'll buff this in. Dabbing, being careful to more so dab over those areas where I already concealed, and then just buff everywhere else. It's a beautiful look, you just can't deny it. Now, if you wanted to, you could take your bareMinerals concealer. This is another like top product here. Kind of rediscovered for me. They've got the Well Rested, which is really nice for like brightening up the under eye. They've got bisque and other shades of bisque that can just work really well as spot concealer. They can conceal 100% on their own, or they could top things off. It's sort of a fun product to play around with and see how it impacts the different concealers you might wear. And I mentioned this in my recent video, how I got it on QVC with the blurring buffer brush, which is really nice for just hitting those key areas. Maybe it's your nose, maybe it's a certain patch of redness you've got on your face somewhere, and this just like stamps on so nicely there. So I'm gonna use my bisque today, and I just tap a little bit in. We're using not very much at all here. It does not take a lot. This is very, very full coverage. And I get my brush coated in it, and then I might just go over the melasma a little bit more. I might hit this area. I wouldn't have to, but this is a product that might be kind of going under a lot of people's radar, and I thought it was worth a mention. The brush element is what's really new to me here. I didn't realize that there was a special brush that was being paired with this product. For me, I might have just used my e.l.f. small tapered brush, and that would give you a lighter application. This gives you a really full coverage, pinpointed application of your bisque concealer products. But again, pace yourself with the amount of product. It does not take a lot. Now, bareMinerals has varying formats of bronzer. One that I really like that's a little bit newer is their pressed bronzer. This is called Endless Summer Bronzer, and they've put warmth and faux tan, two things that are well known for being loose products of theirs. They've put them in a pressed version, and I really like the warmth. And I'll just show you the tone difference there. You can see faux tan is a little bit cooler. This really gives you that kind of naturally shadowed look. If I'm really looking to apply bronzer with the point of adding a little more color to the skin, I would go for this warmth. I feel like this pressed version is not quite as warm as their loose that, you know, remember when bareMinerals was like a really new thing and everybody got warmth as part of like a starter kit? Well, for me, this isn't quite as warm as that, but it's just a really pleasant, nice everyday bronzer. If you've got other bronzers that you have already and you like, I mean, this might not be on the top of my must-haves list, but it is a nice product and it can contour really well for me too. I feel like they can both become just as intense as the other. The difference is just in the tone that they take on. And for me, I kind of feel like bronzer makes a little more sense to me to apply it from a pressed version. I mean, the loose powder foundations, I'm kind of used to the whole tap it into the cap and buff it on in. That makes quite a bit of sense to me. Sometimes I feel like with loose bronzers, it can be a little bit harder to feel like your brush is getting super evenly coated and it's going to go on the skin darker, so it might just be a little trickier. So I like that they came out with these pressed bronzer and also pressed highlight options, as you're gonna see. Now for blush, I've got a couple of blushes that I really like from bareMinerals. I've got a mini here in the shade called Golden Gate. It's a really pretty kind of warm, dusty, peachy pink. It has a little sheen to it. It kind of reminds me of like Milani's Mai Tai if it had a little shimmer. So that's a really pretty shade. I have not tried a lot of their Gen Nude blushes, and I believe this is a mini as well, but I do have this one shade called Pink Me Up. These are a really beautifully textured blush, super soft, next level smooth, a really impressive formula. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative that feels a lot like this, you might look into the e.l.f. primer infused blushes. And I think I'll go ahead and use this pressed one today. I'm gonna just stick with the same brush I was using for bronzer, which is my BK Beauty 107, and just get a little bit of this on the brush. It's nicely pigmented. This is a kind of shade that I could see working for a lot of people. Look at that pretty tone. It's kind of reminding me of the look I could achieve with the blush in the Needs palette, you know? I mean, how does it look somewhat subtle, but yet like plenty of color all at the same time? I would love more blush recommendations from bareMinerals, either pressed or loose. Now, bareMinerals has quite a few options in their pressed highlighters, but my favorite shade is the one called Zen. I feel like this is the perfect pearly highlight. It looks pretty intense in a concentrated swatch, but sheared out, it's like such a pretty, all I can think of is pearly tone on the skin. So I'm gonna dab into this with my Moda Highlight and Glow brush. This is what you often see me using for highlight. Are we not focused? Because we need to be focused here. Okay. Buffing this in. I mean, do you get the pearly vibe here? Do you get how this is just enough, not too much? That's so much of bareMinerals, you know? It's doing just enough, just what your skin needs, but not too much. I've got like freaking powder foundation, even some powder concealer on here, and yet my skin does not look heavy and weighed down by product. I'm sorry, but is that not just stunning? I'm gonna put a little bit of that on the Cupid's bow too. Okay, finally, definitely on my list of top products would be Mineral Veil, and I love the Hydrating one. It is the finest powder probably that I own. It just practically pours out as though it's a liquid. It is so fine, and it's such a nice little ending step. Really, regardless of the makeup that I put on, this lately has been like the last thing I do. I usually wait till like the actual end of my makeup and I just let this be a little finishing touch, but I didn't want to forget about it today, so I just thought I'll just do it right now after I have applied all this stuff. And this is the full Flawless Face brush. I got this recently from Ulta, and you can see I'm just kind of sweeping this all around. And what I like about the Hydrating Mineral Veil is that it doesn't look powdery, but it's kind of like the overall evening of the finishes on your skin. You know, you've got some products that are kind of matte in places. You've got some products that were kind of shimmery. But you take this Hydrating Mineral Veil all over the face, and then suddenly everything is working in such beautiful harmony. All the products just kind of start to sing once this goes on, and it's a very subtle, lightweight product, but it really does do something. So I've liked that regardless of what's underneath. I like that at the end of my look. Now, I don't have any like bareMinerals brow stuff. I don't even know if bareMinerals does brow stuff. Do they? I bet they do, but I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows and then I'll be back for an eye look. Brows are done. I just took my, a little skinny pencil that I'm working through. It's one from the Balm, and I filled in my brows gently in a couple areas and then took my Glossier Boy Brow through everything. So that's done. I primed my eyelids. Also, they have a good eye primer. Do they still make it though? Do they still have the Prime Time eyeshadow primer? Because I loved that stuff, but I kind of realized that Milani was able to really work well for me, so it wasn't wasn't necessarily worth it for me to repurchase the bareMinerals eye primer all the time, but I loved using that stuff for a while. Now, talking about eyeshadows, many of you are familiar with the fact that bareMinerals has loose eyeshadows. I talked about a set that I got from QVC in my very last video. I also did a look with them, so if you want to see that, check it out, because I was just totally reminded how beautiful the finishes on some of these eyeshadows are. One of my favorites from that whole set, it's the shade called 1990s, and it's like the most beautiful, like kind of smoky plum. It even comes off with like a little bit of a bluish cast to it. It's so unique and pretty. Also, one outside of that set, if you're looking for a gorgeous bareMinerals eyeshadow, I've got a mini here. It's in the shade Queen Tiffany. I gotta swatch this. This is so beautiful. Okay, my lovers of rose gold, I mean, oh, it's rose gold, but it's not too warm, you know? It's kind of like a little taupey rose. I just think that is so, so pretty and makes a really pretty pop on the lid. I tell you, I've been enjoying some of these loose shadows lately, but probably my favorite eyeshadow product that bareMinerals makes are their little palettes like this, their little 6-color palettes. I think I've got all of them. In the spirit of this video, I went ahead and I got the latte one. I'm trying to think which one was the first one I got, either copper or neutral. Here's copper. The outsides of them are all absolutely gorgeous. And then copper is the one that gives you kind of a little quirky mix of shades here. You've got like this really dusty rose, an olive, a copper, deep brown. It's a really nice palette because nothing in here comes close to overlapping one another. Like they're all kind of their own individual shades. I've had some people ask me to compare these kinds of palettes to like the Viseart Theory palettes. And I think the difference is that the Viseart ones are more of a gradient. Okay, you're getting half shimmer, half matte. They really all stay in their own little color family. And here, you know, you're gonna get this, and it's especially the copper one is a little more random. You know, you're getting a rose, you're getting a green, you're getting copper. So the color assortment is a little less monochromatic. I love the mirror. I talk about that every time. But the textures of these shadows, bareMinerals, as long as they've been making some kind of a pressed eyeshadow, it's been amazing. All right, like when they were back to the format of like the Happy Place quad and those nice little duos, we can all agree those were an amazing texture, and so are these. Like really nothing has changed. The mattes are super blendable, the shimmers are wonderful, and never are you gonna lay into one that's too over the top and flaky and hard to control. They're just very user friendly. So that one's copper. The one that probably, like, it's hard to pick a favorite or like just flat out recommend one to everybody, but this one called Neutral, I really like this for its kind of rose goldness. They give you two sort of differing tones, and both of them in a subtle way make me think about rose gold. But you've got deep brown, medium brown, this really ultra soft brown, a cream, and then like I said, your two tones of shimmer there. It's a very easy palette to work with, just really easy to make sense of. All of these, you know, you see them and you can kind of picture how you might execute a look like that. But if you like rose gold, think about Neutral. You might think, well, if I like rose gold, shouldn't I think about the rose one? Well, the rose one is really very, very cool. It's the coolest one of them all, and the rose accent is pretty subtle. In this shade called Boho, you see rose, but like that's gonna be all the further rose gets in your look, because it's not like they surrounded it with, you know, a pink and a plum and a whatever. They surrounded it with just really cool basics. The two shades up top are kind of close. One has a little bit more gray in it, and one is more of a pure bone shade. I wouldn't have minded if they had a little more difference going on there, but still, it's a lovely palette. I love the dynamic of this rosy shade kind of mixing with these cool grays at the bottom, or you can leave that out sometimes and just go for Free Spirit over here, which is like a really light icy taupe. Look, I'm gonna attempt to hold these up, but there's those three, right? We can see that the copper one's got the little, you know, bit of olive, little bit of rose, kind of going in a few different directions. This one staying a little more in its lane of brown and rose gold. There's rose bringing the coolness. And then let me hold Latte up with these other two. Latte is the newest addition to my little family here, and there's what's going on with that. That one is bringing, I think, the most warmth. You're getting a true gold in here. You're getting a brown that's kind of like a reddish brown. You're getting a real toasty terracotta type brown. Your other mid-tone shimmer is kind of like a dirty bronze. And then you got two tones up here, one more of a light gold, one's a champagne. Your only mattes in this one are your bottom two, whereas with these, you've actually got the most mattes in the neutral palette with 4, and there's 3 in the copper palette. The brown, the dusty rose, and the cream. 4 mattes also in rose with your top 2 and bottom 2. Okay, so given the fact that you have not yet seen me use the Latte palette in any videos, I will go ahead and use that today, and I'll try to dig up any videos where I've applied the others and link them below. But look how pretty they just look together from the outside. Like they did kind of a sandy or marbled look on the outside, and they're so pretty. And then Latte, stunning as well. I know they've got 1 or 2 limited edition ones floating around out there right now. I'm just not quick to go for that kind of thing these days, just because it becomes kind of irrelevant after a while and people get frustrated when you use something and can't get their hands on it anymore. So let's do a look with Latte today. I absolutely love this shade called Spirit. I was already playing around with this yesterday, so I kind of have some faves in this palette already. I'm using a flat brush with this, and I'm going to begin just right off the bat patting this into the outer corner and up to the crease. Okie dokie. Just like so. Just leave it be. We'll get back to the blending in a second. And I think I'm going to do like sort of a halo eye, but I'm not going to put this darkest shade also on the inside. I think I'm going to put Solstice on the inside. I'm going to try to anyway. So patting this on, love these mattes, love the shimmers too, but dang, everything just works so harmoniously with one another. Then I'm going to take my Sigma E25 and watch how this shade is going to be able to move and not just stay, you know, right where you put it, but actually kind of move, come inward, be a bit of a crease shade. Really nice like that. And see the sheerness. I love when that color shears out and you can see like a little bit of warm brown coming out of it as it shears. Little bit of red too. I love that. It's a complicated shade. It's fun to find those in these little palettes. So see what we're working with there? Now I'm going to take Solstice. We're going to keep with that E25 brush. And I'm going to blend and really start focusing more on the inner part of the crease now with that. Let it come way, way in. Said it before, I'll say it again. I really love layering up different mattes. It's like the funnest, prettiest blending experience you can have. And then anything else on the brush, let's just kind of let it come around and transition out. Nice thing about these little bareMinerals 6-pan palettes is that they're all very everyday suitable, you know? You could use 1 or 2 shades out of them for just the quickest, easiest look. You could really try to do something more glam like we're doing today. I'm taking Destiny, by the way. This is our champagne shimmer. Letting that highlight. Okay. Really, I'm just putting off having to deal with the inner part of my eye. I don't love this step, but it'll pay off in the end. So we're going to take Solstice, flat brush, and kind of dab this right on the inner part of the lid, actually. Yes. And you can try to use that brush to wedge it upward a little, but I've got another solution for that I think is making my halo eye less scary for me to do. Okay, so see that? We've got bare space still existing in the center of the lid. Don't go putting it there, put it on the inner part. Then I've got this nice sized brush here from BK Beauty, and it's called a 207. It's like a thicker version of a pencil brush, okay? And I'm gonna go into Solstice yet again. Not too much on the brush, tap off the excess. And what I like about this brush is look how it's gonna fit and not just take that color right into the depth of my crease, but let it come up above a little bit. I think that's what makes the look work better and look a little prettier, is when that color is lifting straight out of the crease and kind of being apparent just above. This is also a little trick that may help those of you who want to pull off this look, but you've got a hooded eye situation. See, my crease is not very deep right in here. It's deep out here, but not on the inside. So I put this and I just let it follow my crease, and inevitably, it doesn't just apply the shadow to the crease. It's big enough to just let it rise out above it. Okay, are we seeing the effect? Hopefully. So now we're set up to do a nice little burst right on the lid. I'm trying to decide what shade I want to put there because we do have 4 shimmery options. You probably want to see how the gold looks. So this is Firefly. Pick up some Firefly. and just kind of paint that right on the center of the lid there. If you wanted it to not look quite so gold, you might take Fringed, which is right above. It's a little softer gold. I kind of like to put it on with the brush and then tamp it down a little bit with my finger. Guys, that is speaking to me right now. I love that. I really like the way that's turning out. One thing I might do is just let a little bit more of this Solstice shade just kind of come up a bit more in the crease here. Take my E25 with it and just kind of let that area get a little more of that matte shadow around it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, a little contrast with that gold over here too. Oh, it's stunning. My warm shadow lovers are just, you know, really digging this, I'm sure. Next thing I'll do is maybe take a little Solstice, little Spirit, let them combine. I'm gonna go with that same brush that I took to my inner crease and let that just be the smudgiest, smokiest of liner here. Because that works. When you go tip first into these shades, this brush can do that for you. It's fuller than a pencil brush, just be aware. Oh, but it's so good. Good job, Lisa J, with this line. I mean, I'm discovering more brushes like all the time that I really like. I got that full powder brush that's a mega love. The 107 can do darn near any powder step you need, whether that's all over face powder, bronzer, blush, highlighter, you name it. And then this guy. This is a really nice little eye brush. The last thing I might do is go in with Destiny and just let myself have a little like turn the lights on moment right there around the inner corner. I don't want to go too big with it because I don't want it to take away the depth that we purposely put around the inner crease. So just really let it stay confined to the tear duct area. Yes. Now, I don't have a bareMinerals mascara on me. There hasn't been one that I've tried real recently, so I'm really not sure what to recommend in terms of bareMinerals mascaras. Let me know in the comments if there's one that you are just enamored by, but I'm not gonna do liner with this look. I really wanna let that just sunshiny lid just glow, not cover it up a bit. I'm gonna do some mascara and then we'll talk about lips. Got the mascara on, loving that finished eye look, and then I just wanna chat for a second about some of the best lip products from bareMinerals. One of them is a really long wearing one. These Bare Pro lipsticks are so good. They wear really evenly. They're not overly drying. They're not 100% transfer resistant, but they really do give you a nice long wear. I love this shade called Strawberry. I'll just swatch it here. Look at that pretty, like kind of rich pink shade. Love that so much. And I love the skinny lipstick format. I'm always a fan of that design. And also, small detail, they give you an indication of the shade on the outside with that little band that runs around it, and that's really nice to just be able to pluck it out of your collection and kind of know what you're getting. Another thing that they do a great job with are the bareMinerals Gen Nude liquid lipsticks. This shade is called Flawless here. I'm not really recommending this shade over all others. There's been several that I've really liked, but these are like velvety smooth, very comfortable matte liquid lips. Again, not 100% transfer resistant. For the comfort, you gotta pay a little bit, you know. You might not have these wear as long as something that dries down just 100%, but still in the scheme of liquid lipsticks, they're pretty darn good. This to me is kind of a cool, deeper, like berry mauve. And then something that's been kind of newer to me that I don't have many of are these lipsticks. I have this in the shade Crave. We're real pink heavy with the recommendations today, but that's what this one looks like alongside everything else. And this is the one I'm gonna wear today. I'm gonna throw in a little wild card here and put on a pink lip with a bronzy eye and show it can be done. It doesn't have to be a neutral lip or a nude lip, but these are so moisturizing and beautiful and actually last surprisingly long with their moisture level. But it's kind of like a gloss type shine and lipstick in one, giving me so much hydration. Like they feel like lip balm going across your lips, but like a really good, rich, expensive lip balm. And look at that. I need more shades. I mean, this is so pretty. Feels so wonderful on. And that is my look, you guys. Full face bareMinerals, trying to point out the favorites, the things that you really need to know about. I kind of like this little youthful pink lip with the bronzy eye. That's working for me. I feel like everything I put on my face today was something that I liked, but if I had to like make some real top recommendations. The Bare Skin Concealer is amazing. The Complexion Rescue Stick is another stud product. You can't go wrong with that original foundation too. So buildable, such a beautiful finish on the skin. Even looks pretty, you know, on top of some of your lighter coverage foundations or BB cream, CC cream type products. Many times I've thrown that on top and been like, whoa, that was the right thing to do. Those lip products that I just mentioned, I mean, beautiful, not just for those specific shades, but those formulas is mainly what I'm talking about, why they're so special. And the eyeshadow palettes. I mean, if you need a little everyday 6-pan eye palette, my goodness, any of these are beautiful. I think the copper one might be a top favorite for me, but it's so hard to pick. This latte one is pretty dang dazzling though, if you like your golds and warmth. Oh, did I mention Hydrating Mineral Veil? Another thing that just regardless of what's on your face, this is a great finishing touch. And if you're really wanting to dig into bareMinerals deep and try something that's a really unique product, the bisque concealers, you know, bisque, summer bisque, the Well Rested product is in the same formula. Layering that up, enhancing the coverage of different concealer looks that you have, it's a really kind of magical, fun product to play with. My one bit of advice would be don't go too far with it because it is a very full coverage powder and we don't want anything too thick building up in that area. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope you found this useful. I hope to get a bunch of great product recommendations in the comments section from you, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.